disfigurement and death in 90% of those who contract it if not treated. What are the causes? How is it recognized? And what are the complications? These and more will be our focus on Panorama, coming to you from Sokoto Network Center. I am Sadia Umutki. President Muhammadu Buhari has directed the nation's armed forces and other security services to remain decisive and, if need be, merciless until all criminal activities undermining national security and stability in parts of the country are contained. Minister of Interior Ralph Arebeshola announced the presidential directive at a media briefing after the meeting of the National Security Council. State House correspondent Adam Sambu reports.
Usually meets on quarterly basis, the National Security Council is now meeting virtually monthly in response to the nation's security concerns. President Muhammadu Buhari had made it clear that he will not hand over a troubled Nigeria to his successor. This meeting was therefore summoned to critically analyze what have been accomplished so far in the renewed battle against terrorism, insurgency, and other acts of criminality, existing gaps in the operations, as well as strategize the best way forward. The service chiefs and heads of other security services made submissions on strategic and operational issues, as well as other constabulary matters, as explained by Interior Minister Rauf Arebeshola.
As we are making progress in our effort to eliminate insurgency, banditry, kidnapping for ransom, and all the other criminalities, that we are not yet where we should be. That Nigerians deserve to live in peace, and that until we achieve that, we will not rest.
I just want to know specifically what you have discussed in respect of the resurgence of criminal activities along Abuja-Kaduna Highway.
Oh, yes. The police and the other security agencies have been mobilized to intensify surveillance, patrol, and pursuit of the criminals. Specific orders have been given to all our security agencies, and you will see an improved response to all those challenging the sovereignty of Nigeria in whatever form and creating insecurity in whatever form anywhere. The council today took firm decision on what to be done, and I can assure Nigerians that with the charge from the president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces today, there will be an improved response to all forms of criminality in any part of Nigeria.
The National Security Council also discussed the conduct of the last governorship election in Anambra State.
The president was particularly happy with the fact that a free and fair election was made possible by the INEC and our security agencies. With that, there is no doubt as to the commitment of our administration to promoting democracy and ensuring that 2023 is not in any way threatened.
During the meeting, members of the council applauded the election of a Nigerian, AIG Garba Umar, as Vice President of the Interpol for Africa. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Mr. Lai Mohammed says no amount of pressure and intimidation will make the federal government bend backwards in accepting that there was a massacre at the Lekki toll gate during the NSAS protest in October last year. Anthony Forson has details.
It was meant to be a peaceful protest against police brutality, and the federal government accepted to implement the demands of the protesters. But in quick twist, the peaceful protest turned violent with massive looting and destruction of public and government property. Security agents became vulnerable as they were attacked and killed. In the wake of this violence, the federal government directed that state governments set up judicial panels of inquiry to investigate the allegations. Lagos State had completed its assignment and submitted its report. However, the report was leaked. While some have condemned the report, Others have resorted to vilifying the federal government. In setting the record straight, Information and Culture Minister pointed at errors contained in the report as follows. The report has no signature. The report contains many errors and inconsistencies. The report did not confirm military shot directly at the protesters. Contradiction in figures. A man who counted 11 bodies was not in to testify in person. The report was equally silent on family members who lost relatives. The man who saw his brother's dead body ended on the list as deceased. Names listed in the report could be fictitious. There are concoctions, and there was no mention of security personnel killed or injured, as well as their stations burnt with vehicles. With this discovery, Lai Mohammed says the report lacks merit.
There is absolutely nothing in the report that is circulating to make us change our stand that there was no massacre at the Lekki toll gate on October 20th, 2020. For us to change our stand, a well-investigated report of the incident that meets all required standards and will withstand every scrutiny must be produced and presented to the public.
While CNN was quick to celebrate the report with a handful of some local media platforms.
Lastly, an attempt to vilify government at all costs. They have done themselves a great disservice. How can any news organization worth its salt write an editorial validating this kind of report? Are they not seeing what others, including journalists and lawyers, are seeing? In a shocking twist, a Nigerian newspaper chose to hail what it calls detailed investigation report by CNN.
In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
World Health Organization says it is monitoring the new coronavirus variant B11.529 first detected in South Africa, and it is set to hold a special meeting to discuss if the heavily mutated strain will become a variant of interest or a variant of concern. Reports say the latest variant is the most heavily mutated version discovered so far, first identified in South Africa at the start of this week. The strain has already spread to neighboring countries, including Botswana, where it has been reportedly detected in fully vaccinated people. The new variant has been red flagged by scientists over an alarmingly high number of spike mutations that might make the virus more resistant to vaccines, increase its transmissibility, and leads to more severe COVID-19 symptoms. In the meantime, the EU planned to halt air travel from Southern African region amidst rising concern about the new COVID-19 variants detected in South Africa. EU Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen said in a tweet on Friday that the Commission will propose, in close coordination with member states, to activate the emergency brake to stop air travel from Southern African region due to variants of concern B.1.1.1529. She said the Executive Commission will recommend all 27 member states implement the measure and hopes the European Council will give the green light as soon as possible. Britain temporarily banned flights from South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Lesotho, and Eswatini from Friday and asked returning British travelers from those destinations to quarantine. Two 16th century artifacts, being brass plague and a 14th century Ife artifacts kept at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in the United States, have been returned to the Consulate General of Nigeria in New York. The Nigerian National Commission for Museum and Monuments was in New York to sign on behalf of the country following the restitution of international museums and universities to repatriate looted Benin treasures in June this year. The Metropolitan Director, Max Hollin, and Director General, Nigerian National Commission for Museum and Monuments, Abba Isa Tijani, signed a memorandum of understanding to formalize a commitment to future collaborations, from loans to initiate, like the Digital Benin project, an online archive of items originating from the Benin Kingdom. Panorama continues in a moment. Do stay.
The vaccine offers hope for a safe country free of coronavirus. I urge all state governments, traditional and religious leaders to take the lead in the mobilization effort within their environment and spheres of influence. I similarly urge all eligible Nigerians to present themselves and be vaccinated in accordance with the order of priority already mapped out at the various authorized designated centers only.
Still there. As the 16 days of activism on gender-based violence commences, a landmark judgment has been recorded as the Federal High Court in Sokoto sentenced Yusha'u Saidu to 10 years imprisonment for raping a 3-year-old girl. The judgment was delivered by Justice James Kolawale Omotoshola in Sokoto. Lalata Abdullahi completes the report.
Yusha'u Saidu, who hails from Atukonyo village area of Kore local government, was reported to have raped the 3-year-old girl on the 27th of May 2021 and was taken before the court on the 29th of May 2021. After a series of court proceedings, the accused was found guilty of sexual exploitation, an offense punishable under Section 16 Sub 1 of Trafficking in Persons Prohibition and Administration Act 2015. The presiding judge said according to Nigeria's Constitution 1999 as amended, sentence to such act attracts life imprisonment, but considering the accused is a first offender, the court tempered justice with mercy and convicted him to 10 years imprisonment with 500,000 naira as compensation to the victim. Counsels to the applicant and the defendant react to the judgment.
As a lawyer, as a minister in the Temple of Justice, and to assist the court to arrive at the just conclusion of the matter.
Counsels or the convict himself has certain options available to him. He has the right of appeal within 90 days or to take it and serve the sentence.
This landmark conviction is expected to serve as deterrent to others, especially as the country continues to fight against gender-based violence. In Sokoto, Lalatu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Sokoto State Female Education Board is to establish societies in all the schools under it to champion the fight against gender-based violence. This is coming as wife of Sokoto State Governor Maria Amin Waziri Tambuwal takes the campaign against gender-based violence to secondary schools for adolescent girls. That's Abdullahi reports.
Maria Tambuwal Development Initiative has for long been doing a lot to sensitize the general public on the dangers of gender-based violence. With this year's 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, the MTD is intensifying efforts toward sensitizing adolescent girls at Hafsat Ahmad Bello Model Arabic Secondary School, Sokoto.
We are into 16 days of activism and we are used to it. We've started and we will not stop until we achieve our aim that all our girls are safe.
Speakers at the event, like Dr. Hawa Ibrahim, spoke extensively on the dangers of gender-based violence and its psychological challenges and the need for parents to keep watchful eyes on their children to guard them from becoming victims of sexual abuse. Representative of National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, Sabio Isa, emphasized on the need for gender-based violence survivors to always speak up so that the perpetrators of such evil could be arrested and prosecuted.
Victims' voices lead the way. If the victim, the one who is being cheated, comes out and says something, it will serve as evidence that we will take to court.
Wife of Sokoto State Governor Maria Aminu Waziri Tambol, represented by Director General Female Education Board, Luba Abubakar, called on adolescent girls to be conscious of their value and guard their chastity at all times. She said more will be done to sensitize students on the best way to fight gender-based violence. Series of activities will be organized as part of efforts to observe the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. In Sokoto, Dalhatu Abdullahi, NTA News.
And now to our discussion segments. With me in the studio is Dr. Shafiu Isa Godaba, Chief Medical Director, Noma Children's Hospital, Sokoto, to discuss Noma disease causes and preventive measures. Saya, welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much for having me today.
All right, so Saya, what is Noma disease?
Well, Noma is a Greek word, as many people have been thinking what it is. It means to devour, to snatch away beauty. Noma disease is actually an infectious, is a bacterial disease which affects the children from the age of 2 to 7 to 10 up to 14 years of age, and sometimes even adults do come down with Noma disease who are immunosuppressed.
Also, sir, what could be the cause of the disease?
Well, there are a lot of factors who actually pose a child to come down with Noma disease. One of them is very poor oral hygiene. You would realize that maybe in our communities deep down, parents do not actually take good care of they don't give that expected oral hygiene to their kids, and you know, sometimes a child could actually be eaten until when he sleeps off, and with some residuals of feeds in his mouth. So poor oral hygiene is one of them. Non-compliance to immunization is one of them. You know, our hard-to-reach areas, you know, we have to be advocating and be lobbying for those people to allow the kids to have their shots of immunizations timely, which is still a trouble. And then, you know, non-access to good drinking water is one of the factors. And living in a very close proximity to livestock animals, because there are researches that actually proved that there's a bacteria in the foot rot of those animals, which is found in Noma lesion. Well, if a Noma patient is approaching you from the look and the smell is really very unpleasant, and you will see a child with a hanging flesh, flies around, and very foul smelling. So that is what it is.
So what are some of the symptoms that can be identified?
As I've said, fever is one of them, a very high-grade fever. You would see that a child is having, it depends, because it comes in stages. It starts from a very early stage. If it has not been detected, it continues to take its course, and until it reaches that end stage that a child would come with hanging flesh.
If I may take you back from the early stage, what are some of
it starts with reddish gingiva, and then to bleeding gum, and then to erosion. It will erode, and all the flesh around will go off, and you will see an a bone exposed, and then it continues deep down until it comes out of the face. So it depends on where it appears. But mostly it appears on the side of the cheek, and there's what we call also a central noma, which eats off the nose and upper lip as well.
Okay, so are there preventive measures to this disease?
Yes, sure. We always try to give health talks to people when we go for outreaches in the communities, advocacies, and a lot of talks on media, radio jingles, just to tell those people, our people, that anytime they observe any change, it doesn't necessarily be, in the mouth, but any change in health status of any child, they should go to where they should have this prompt intervention.
Okay. There are misconceptions around the disease. Is it contagious?
Well, it is never a contagious disease. Okay. A person close to a child who is affected by Nova can never take it. Yeah, one good thing with it.
Okay. So Noma Hospital has been operating since 1990. What is the coverage area of the hospital?
Since inception, Noma Children's Hospital has been able to treat more than 10,000 patients. But specifically, we had over 7,000 surgeries, successful surgeries of different stages. A lot of people from across the country do come for that. Being it the only hospital of its kind in the whole country, we have patients from across the country, as I've told you. And not only the Noma disease we're talking about, but other facial problems do present to the hospital. And the services in the hospital is for free. It's been supported by the federal government and the Sokoto state government and some other collaborating partners.
Okay, so do we still need to be concerned about this Noma disease?
Yes, sure, because a lot of people, including the healthcare providers or the healthcare professionals, do not or don't have that very insight of what Noma is. So we try to give advocacies, sensitizations, health talks, all in trying to let people know this disease exists and this is how it presents. Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming on Panorama this afternoon.
Thank you.
So that was our discussion with Dr. Shafiu Isagwadabawa on Noma disease. We now join our sports desk for sports updates.
4 Nigerian tech ball players have been invited to the Tech Ball World Championship